This show apparently will last for 6 months if it's anything like Pantanal. In fact, it's a lot like Pantanal. I think even after the time skip, the guy that played Zay, his name was Zay too. Hi, I'm KD, and I'm back again with another installment of me trying to learn Portuguese. But today's going to be different. Today I'm going to be reviewing a novela I've been watching by my own choosing, but kind of not, called Renascer or Hennessy. First time I heard it sound like Hennessy, so I've been saying Hennessy, but I know it's Renascer. It's been coming on Globo almost every day, except for, I think, Sunday. Watching it with Gabby. Not my first novela, Pantanal. It's the first one.
Filhos dos filhos dos nossos filhos verão.
And it was crazy, so crazy that I didn't watch it all the way through. So I said that I would try and watch this one all the way through. To one, try and learn new Portuguese words and just familiarize myself with trying to understand a show that doesn't have any English anywhere. So I'm gonna give a breakdown of what the show is about so far. You watched the show before the time jump, and my interpretation, and then at the end I'll share some things that I learned while watching the show. At this point, if you haven't seen the show and you want to watch the show, understand, major spoiler alert, spoiler warning, whatever. The show is a remake from '93, so it shouldn't be too much of a spoiler, but just in case, spoiler alert. So to start off, the name of the show in itself, Renascer or Hennessy, it comes from nascer, which means to be born. So it's reborn or rebirth. Just the first lesson I had. All right, but our story starts with a guy, Zay Inocencia, I think. I call him Zay. Everybody calls him Zay something. Papa Zay, whatever you want to use. Zay, it starts off climbing a waterfall into the forest. That's how the story starts. I was skeptical, but bear with me, keep going. Climbs this waterfall, finds the biggest tree in the forest named Jequichiba, and then he makes a pact, sticks his knife in the ground of the tree, and says that as long as the knife is in the ground, he will live forever. Essentially, he falls in love, proposes, and marries the tree. The tree is like, yes, I will marry you and protect you. Almost immediately after he makes this pact with the tree, there are some assassins that are there, attack him and torture him and hang him up from another tree. It's like immediately after you make a pact, you almost die, just to prove that the pact worked. Then a random guy from the Middle East is randomly passing by as well. He gets shot by the same guy, finds him, takes him to this lady named Candida's house and drops him off, leaves, and we never see this guy again. All stories or novellas start off with some crazy way, but once you get into it, okay, we're here. Don't worry about how it started. We're here now. The area that they're in is a section of Bahia. The area he's in is mostly owned by two groups, okay? Candida, whose house he gets dropped off at, and her late husband, along with Colonel Bellarmino, who I will call the Brazilian Teddy Roosevelt, because that's what he looks like to me. Those two groups own land and want to farm cacao on that land, which is the major crop in the area. There's a third guy named Firmino, but everybody calls him Pica-Pau, which means woodpecker. And you guessed it, he wants to just use the wood that's on the land and not harvest cacao. Those are the three main parties. They kind of go back and forth with each other because they all want to own all the land. Candida's late husband is really the person that was working the land, and he was killed. Candida thinks that either Brazilian Teddy Roosevelt or Pica-Pau killed her husband, but she has no proof. She's really distraught and wants to leave, so we flash forward. Zay wakes up, he's alive, and offers to take her land from her and pay her with whatever he makes off the cacao he harvests from the land, and she can leave. And she says, cool, deuces, I'm out. Which to me is wild. How does a random guy show up on your doorstep, almost dead? You help him, nurse him back to health, and then you just give him all your land and trust that he's going to pay you with whatever he makes off of the cacao on the land, assuming that he's able to make money off the cacao from the land. Again, don't worry about the logistics of how we get here. Once we're here, we're here. We're just going to dive in. So Zay now inherits the land and is getting familiar with everything. Instantly, everybody likes him. Inacia was like the housekeeper of the house. She turns out to be like an older sister / mother figure for him. Jupara and Diocleciano help work the land. They instantly become like a wolf pack of sorts.
And we're the three best friends that anybody could have. We're the three best friends that anyone could have.
So everybody likes him except for two people, you guessed it, Bellarmino and Pica-Pau, which makes Zay suspicious that they are the ones who tortured him in the beginning. And it turns out Zay's suspicions are half correct, kinda. Pica-Pau hired the people who tortured Zay. Bellarmino doesn't like Zay now at all and hires new men to try and kill him. And we find out that Bellarmino hired the same men to kill Conchita's husband. Slight side note and digression, because I understand that this was an older time, but there are literally no cops, no law enforcement, which, okay, cool, understand, but if there is no law enforcement, why not just, take them out publicly? Like, why you gotta do all this hiding, hiring a hitman type stuff if there's no cops? Who's gonna stop you? But again, novellas. So the hitman that Bellarmino hires try and kill Zay, fail, and Zay ends up killing them, and then sends the wolf pack to send the bodies back to Bellarmino, which is some cold-blooded gangster stuff. This is probably one of the most cold-blooded things I've seen in the show thus far. Here you hitman. May want to pour one up for him. That's a thing too. I'm gonna get to it later of things I've learned on the show, but beber o morto is a thing. It basically means, pour one up for your homies. So Bellarmino has a worker named Venancio, who is a little crazy and creepy. More creepy than crazy. He has a daughter named Maria Santa, who is extremely naive. He's very overprotective of her and the creepiness, because sometimes he's looking at her like, Apparently, he also had another daughter that he was kind of the same way with, but he gave her away and she's no longer with the family. Kind of crazy. So you know where this story is going. Zay sees Maria Santa one time at this parade for the Buba. It's a bull. I don't know. It's a celebration of sorts. She's there. Zay sees her, falls in love. Instantly the tree's like, but you proposed to me. Don't like her. He has to have her and is making all types of attempts to try and win over Maria Santa from her overprotective father. Venancio, of course, says no to every advance and tells Bellarmino how much he hates Zay. No me jigga. Então, você precisa matar ele, por favor. But seriously, he asks him to kill him and offers him some land if he does indeed kill Zay. Meanwhile, Zay gets fed up with all this rejection and just goes over there to talk to the dad himself. No one's there, but he does find Maria Santa swimming in a lake naked. Zay loses his mind. They have an innocent shared moment and they kiss. Afterward, she starts to feel sick, confides in her mom. They discuss it and determine that she must be pregnant. Her mom asks no questions. She says, I've been with a man. And mom was like, filha, embuchada. They really go along with thinking that this girl is pregnant. They tell Venancio that the daughter is pregnant, and Venancio is under so much pressure that he completely folds and decides to make a run for it and leave town, taking uma carroça e dois burrinhos da melhor qualidade. More on that later. He takes it from Bellarmino and runs, but not before he drops his daughter off at the local brothel because she's of pior qualidade. Leaves her with the local manager of the brothel, Jacachinga. Wait a minute. Wait, hold on. She looks familiar. Jacachinga is like the surrogate mother of the city for any girl who is of pior qualidade. Like that happens and you throw the whole daughter away? Throw the entire daughter away. Jacachinga actually listens to Maria Santa and realizes that she cannot be pregnant and that she's actually still a virgin. Which leads to something that is very wild, because then Jacachinga now presents her to the city as like good product at her brothel. Kinda weird. But the night that she presents Maria Santa, both Bellarmino and Pica-Pau are there. And wildly enough, Bellarmino's like, oh, gotta have her. Oh, gotta have her. I'm like, yo, ew. She's like 16. Also, Bellarmino found out that her father, Venancio, ran and stole his uma carroça e duas burrinhos da melhor qualidade. And he doesn't let it go. He chimes on this for like a week straight.
Levando uma carroça e dois burrinhos da melhor qualidade. Dois burrinhos da melhor qualidade. Não sei nem quem teve o maior prejuízo. E me roubou uma carroça e dois burrinhos da melhor qualidade. E me roubou uma carroça e 2 burrinhos da melhor qualidade. Nem de Venâncio, nem da carroça, com os 2 burrinhos da melhor qualidade que ele me levou daqui. Me levando uma carroça e 2 burrinhos da melhor qualidade.
And at first I didn't understand it, but then if you replace carroça with a PS5 and replace Bohino with controllers of good quality, I immediately feel him. I'll be pissed too. Dog, he took my PS5 and 2 controllers of good quality. Months. You gonna hear me all year talk about that. So Bellarmino does in fact shoot his shot with Maria Santa, but Maria Santa, now having gone through the Universidade da Jacatinga, says that if you want me, you're gonna have to make me your main. I'm gonna have to be your wife and the lady of the household. And Bellarmino was like, yeah, I'm married already, I can't do it. But Zay does find out that Maria Santa is there, runs over and offers her everything in the world that he does not have. And of course she obliges and says yes. And meanwhile, Takichiba's like, we are married too, Zay. I do not like it. You made a promise. Brazilian Teddy Roosevelt is super fed up with Zay at this point and takes matters into his own hands and tries to kill him himself by shooting him. He thinks Zay is dead, but Zay actually is not dead because, pack with the tree. The wolf pack, Jupiter and Diocleciano, find him and take him back to the house to nurse him back to health. But Zay tells them, make everybody in the city think that he is indeed dead. That way he can find out and usher a confession, see what I did there, of who actually shot him. And this is probably one of the most novella soap opera-y things ever. Of course it works. Bellarmino confesses right before he laments again over his uma carroça e 2 bohinhas da melhor qualidade. One last time. Zay then ambushes him and makes him sign over his land and says that he must leave and never come back. But Bellarmino, he won't go down easy. Apparently must take someone down with him. And a pick-a-pal was trying to double-cross him somehow by infecting his cacao crop with this bruxa disease. White bruxa? I don't know. I know it has bruxa in the name. I caught that much. Bellarmino lures pick-a-pal to the cacao farm, pulls a gun on him, ties him in a car, and drowns him with cacao, killing him. But immediately after, Bellarmino, still crazy because he's got to give all this up, is shot. He runs into the forest where he sees somebody, looks at them, buttons up, and they shoot him in the head. We never find out who that person is. Crazy stuff, man. After that, Maria Santa and Zay get married. They have 3 children, all of which they name starts with Jose. So is Zay something? She gets pregnant a 4th time, has trouble, does in fact give birth, but dies shortly after giving birth to a son named Joao Pedro. Zay blames the baby for the death and wants nothing to do with it until he's about 10 years old and then realizes, we can work together. Maybe. I still don't trust you. I don't like you. You kill my wife. Meanwhile, Takichiba's like, was it him? And that's the story of where I'm at so far. After this, they go into a time jump to where the kids are older. But Portuguese takeaways, all right? So the way that they speak may be different than people normally speak Portuguese today. So, for instance, they were using lei, which threw me off, which is basically an object pronoun. It's like chi. Instead of eu te amo, they say eu le amo. And I was confused. Also, pinga, which is, you remember from before, drip. They use that for cachaça. And I understand why, because similar methods to make liquor during the bootlegging days down here in the South, you have to, evaporate and it drips down. So I get it. Vocabulary words, troca was one, exchange, queixa is a complaint, jagunço is like a hitman or a gunman, even though it's exactly the same. Rifle, rifle sounds not intimidating at all. Rifle, yes, but he was like, yes, and we rifle. I'm like, Heathcliff, like the cat. It was funny to me. Atrever means dare. Tal is common, but I didn't really pay attention as such. When somebody dies, beber o morto means drink the death, what people do when their friends die. It's very interesting to see that. Embuchada. I know Gravida is pregnant, but they say embuchada and I asked Gabby because it wasn't translated in the Google app. It comes from bucha, which is stomach. It's in the stomach. It was interesting. Embuchada. So it's been very helpful. Again, the show is not in English at all. I did ask Gabby for some insight about things that may not have made sense, but for the most part, it was just me picking out stuff and trying to understand. But yeah, that's it. That is my interpretation of Hennessy or Renascer. Definitely, if you like this video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. And maybe I'll do another one in the future. All right. See you. Ciao, ciao. Kiss, kiss. Bye.